to be recovering from it. Thank you, sir. Joining me now in Baltimore, Dr. Leanna Wen. She's a visiting professor at George Washington University School of Public Health and formerly Baltimore's health commissioner. Here in New York, Eddie Glaude Jr., he is a professor at Princeton University and the chair of the Department of African American Studies and is an MSNBC contributor and a good friend of our show. And, of course, my partner here in New York, Stephanie Ruhle. She is the senior business correspondent. She knows a lot about business here at NBC, is my partner in crime, my former co-host. Thank you to all of you. Dr. Wen, let me start with you, because I've spent some time this morning talking to people who are critical of the federal response, largely in terms of not just preparation, but communication of what's going on. But public health experts tell me that really who we're depending on is local health experts, public health commissioners, city health commissioners, mayors, because that's where the rubber, in some cases, meets the road with respect to identifying and dealing with people with coronavirus. Give me your evaluation of how things are going right now.
Well, you're right that local public health officials are the ones who are on the front lines. We're the ones who see patients in our communities and are in charge of keeping our community members safe and healthy. The local public health officials have been preparing for outbreaks just like this. This is our bread and butter. This is what we prepare for all the time, together with local hospitals and state and federal partners. Now, I think a lot of things have gone well in this response, but a lot of things have not gone well. We've been talking a lot about the lack of testing, which is a major problem. And we are bracing for the worst, too, because things are going to get a lot worse before they can get better, meaning that we are going to get a lot more positive cases of coronavirus here in the U.S., and we have to figure out how we can prepare our communities, which will include a lot of measures like maybe school closures and changing people's daily routines that are coming out in the coming weeks.
So, Eddie, what Dr. Wen is doing here is walking an interesting line between the things that would cause us to panic and the things that would cause us to not care, right? That's the magic line we have to walk, the ones we have to walk in the media. The complaint about the federal government is that they don't seem to be walking that line. They seem to be leaning toward complacency and not sort of giving off that air of authority that we just heard from Dr. Wen.
Right. So in some ways, what we're experiencing is a sense of their incompetence, their refusal to kind of tackle the issues at the level of detail that the disease requires.
I.e. the number of tests,
exactly,
who gets them.
Exactly. And it seems to me when you don't tell the American public what they need to know, provide the information that's necessary, we're going to fill it with our fantasies.
Yes.
Or our fears.
Or our bad information that we get on the internet.
Exactly. And so what you will get are people who are thinking that we're on the precipice of a zombie apocalypse, or they can't travel, or they shouldn't interact with their family members, right, or they'll start doing so. So what we need over and over again is just simply the government to tell us what they know and what they don't know, and to do that every single day until we get this under control.
On a regular basis with the authority that we just heard from Dr. Wen. Stephanie, one thing you and I sort of specialize in is looking at how this behavior manifests, right? We cover the stock market, as the president talks about it all the time, but the bottom line is that's one manifestation, right? If you don't know what's going on, you make your own decisions, and your decision may be to get out of the stock market. But it goes to every level of our lives, including the choices we make about staying home, working, going to shopping malls, going to movie theaters. And in fact, for a lot of Americans, that choice isn't as easy as you'd think it should be.
Allie, we've talked for the last 3 years about how many millions of Americans don't have $400 in case
Correct.
of an emergency. This
would count as an emergency, right?
Okay? The president has been talking about the Dow more than Dow 30 CEOs have. Just yesterday, though, Elon Musk tweeting, "Panic is dumb." I don't disagree with Elon Musk. Panic is dumb. You know where you stave that off? At the top. And right now, this is the first time when we're facing a potential crisis, whether it's Ebola or SARS or the financial crisis, where there are no trusted voices at the top. This is a president who is known to have told untruths, mistruths, lies for years. Just yesterday, touting his natural ability as a medical expert.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe he should have done that instead of being president, is what he said. And there might be a lot of Americans who agree with him, by the way, that maybe if Donald Trump were an obscure health expert somewhere, might not be as bad as being president.
Sure. He's discounted what health experts have said, and he's dismantled agencies that are in place to protect people. So at a time like this, ask yourself, who's the person inside the administration who business leaders are connected to, and they're talking about what's a reasonable response? So for everyone saying businesses are overreacting, what are they thinking with all these cancellations? If I'm a CEO, I can handle my stock going down a ton. I cannot handle people truly getting sick, and they're looking at what the president
dying
is saying
on your watch or at your business or your workers.
Absolute dismay right now.
So, Eddie, that's really the leadership that we've been lacking. One of the things that Stephanie points out is that whether it's Sharpie Gate, during the hurricanes, there have been so many instances in which there are life or death matters, and we have not been able to trust this administration, that now when it's really a life or death matter where we actually have to trust the administration, we're not able to. How do you save this? What has to happen? On some level, individuals are making their own decisions. Companies are making certain decisions. People like Dr. Wen are out there giving us good information. But can this be fixed? Because this thing